So Zappi, the fourth-round pick, the rookie out of Western Kentucky, relieves Mac Jones. Zappi drops back. He throws a low ball left. Wide open Jacoby Myers, who makes a twisting, diving catch and swerves into the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots!
Look at this place!
Patriots show blitz. They got a picket fence behind him. Quick throw, screen. Herbert to catch 20. There he goes, 10. Nobody's going to touch him. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown, Bears. Snap back. And immediately the ball comes out with Floyd there on the scene. Quinn on the scene, and the Bears have recovered the ball. David Montgomery on the left hash, under center. They drag the tight end. He takes and turns. Fields on the give. Montgomery powers in. 4th down and 2. In the gun. Trips to the right. Snap. Blitz is on. Pockets tight. Bailey Zappi tip. Intercepted Connor Gordon. Down the right side. 30, 20, 10, and shoved out of bounds.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
The Playbook is live here on the Bettor Sports Network. What's going on, everyone? My name is Justin Fensterman. His name is Adam Ronis. And for the next few hours, let's talk some sports. Let's talk plays. Let's win. That's what we do. What's up, Ronis?
Just trying to figure out what's going on in the NFL after what we saw last night.
I know all of us. Is it Mac Jones? Is it Bailey Zappi? You got the Bears putting up 33 points, 33-14. Remember, Rona, it was less than 24 hours ago where I was saying to you, hey, man, what's this game going to be, 7-0? Quite the opposite right there.
It's just absurd. The Patriots were probably the most popular survivor pool pick for those that were left. So the Circa Survivor Pool, a very popular contest in Vegas where $6.13 million is the winner-take-all prize. So 94% of the pool was eliminated before week 7, and the Patriots were the top choice at like 45.8%, and then the Bucs at like 18.2%. So those are gone. So it's just crazy because I did not think that was going to happen. Not only did the Patriots lose, they got absolutely dominated. I mean, that was insane how the Bears dominated that game. Bill Belichick on Monday night at home, and the Bears, one of the worst offenses in the NFL, put up 33 points. You had the Panthers as 13.5-point underdogs to Tampa Bay. Not only do they beat Tampa Bay, they hold Tom Brady in that offense without a touchdown. It's just insane. And I know people are like, oh, we say it every year. I haven't seen anything like this in a long time where you think there are gimmies that don't happen. We have so many bad offenses, poor quarterback play, low offensive scores. It's just insane. And I think this week summarized it all because I couldn't make any case for the Bears. I couldn't. And to see them come out and run for 243 yards on the Patriots, because you know what the Bears are doing. They're going to try and run the football. Fields is going to try and run. Now, they did a better job of designing runs for him, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I saw on the run, Fields threw well. When he was in the pocket, I think he was 7 of 14. So why haven't you been doing this? I mean, we criticized the coaching staff last year for not being inventive with Fields, and they didn't do it this year for the most part. But you saw yesterday when he was on the run, he was able to hit some receivers because it gave him an opportunity to get open. Obviously, when he stands in the pocket, it's a problem. But still, this was just alarming on all ends. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I thought the Patriots were a lock at -8.
Yeah, no, same here. So pretty much what you're saying is you think moving forward, because you had Justin Fields throw 21 times, you want to see those numbers move up a little bit. But do you think maybe that will start, at least in your opinion, we should see him roll out a little bit more, maybe not line up in a shotgun formation where he's just stationary the entire time. That way the field's moving with him. And because of the mobility factor, maybe you're right, Ron. Maybe you should be coaching this team.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, there's such bad quarterback play now, and, my rankings will probably be published tonight or tomorrow. They're almost done. I have Fields as a top 15 quarterback this week because of his ability to run. I know he's not going to do much passing, but if he does what he did yesterday, that's all you need. I mean, 14 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown. He ran a lot. I think we were talking about, I forgot. Yeah, his rushing prop, he crushed it. And he passed for 179 and 1 touchdown. That's all he needs to do. We don't need huge numbers. If he's going to run like this, then all you need is like 180 and a touchdown from him. And with the poor play at quarterback from some of these veterans, it's going to put Fields ahead. Now, he does have a tough matchup this week against Dallas and that defensive line, but I got a text from a friend of mine who's a Cowboys fan. He's like, should we be a little bit worried after watching the Bears last night? But
I've been hearing that all day on sports media now. And
people react to what they just saw, right, especially in prime time.
But we both know just how good the Cowboys are. And it's like they'll be able to hanker down defensively. And now with Dak back and everything, man, I don't see, and again, it's a weird season. Anything can happen. I know that's all the old cliche, but I'm in the Cowboys camp with you, man. I like what I've seen from this team. Pre-Dak coming back, now Dak's back. I think the Cowboys will be fine. Maybe it won't be the craziest scoring of games. Probably, I thought this game was going to be a low-scoring game. But I don't think you have much to worry about, Roan, even though it's been a you-know-what backwards kind of NFL season.
No, it really is. I mean, no game is a gimme anymore. So, I mean, the Bears coming off a very emotional win on a short week. And it'll make Dallas be more prepared. But, Fields can give you trouble with his ability to run. And, we saw the running game was effective. Montgomery and Herbert both were involved. Again, I think that's because they ran so many plays and they had the ball a lot. But they did say they were going to go with the odd hand. Montgomery, 15 for 62 and a touch. Herbert, 12 for 62. Herbert did have the 25-yard receiving touchdown. So you're going to see a lot of those guys. And then, I needed Mooney a little bit more from Mooney. I had a doubleheader. I was able to win one. I think I needed 5 points for Mooney, and then and that won me a game. But I think I needed 12, 13 to win the other, and I didn't. This is not the game script you expect for the Bears most week. In control, they were up 20-14 at halftime, 26-14 after 3 quarters. So of course they were not going to throw. I don't even know if they attempted a pass in the 4th quarter. So I knew I was done. But, at least it bodes maybe a little bit of hope for Mooney going forward if they can at least be more competent on offense. But that's about it. I mean, Cole Kmet, you still can't use. But, yeah, it was just shocking that the Patriots got dominated like that. So what I said yesterday stands true now. The only matchup in Week 8, teams with winning records, Seahawks, Giants, as I forgot who it was. Which one of our producers was like, what about the Patriots? I'm like, they're 500, and now they're not. So you guys were giving them a W, and look what happened. It's all your fault.
I'm just going to say this, though, Ron. I
was giving them a W, too, though. They were my number one pick in my Survivor article. So
look, dude, if I'm going down for this pick, because in the hash out, this was one of the teams that I said that I thought could cover that spread. You were on board with me then. If I'm going down for that, you're coming with me there. Because
no, but I didn't. Okay, but when I made the statement yesterday, I didn't assume that they were going to win. I said, as of the moment, the Seahawks and the Giants were the only 2 teams facing off in Week 8 with a winning record, and now that remains true.
Right. The resource, A.B. Adder Bernard and the People's Board Op, Jared Moore, hanging out with us here. It's just so funny what we're seeing in the chat from them. It's like, yeah, we all assumed this did most of America. Hence our fantasy season.
I didn't see, but I'm assuming the books absolutely slaughtered this weekend because I'm sure people had parlays with the Patriots and Bucks money line.
Oh, damn. You're probably right about that.
I'm sure like parlays just in the NFL got absolutely destroyed this weekend. I'm sure people took even the Bucks on the spread. They probably took Patriots on the spread. I'm sure the books just absolutely crushed this weekend.
Yeah, Billy Hayes asking us, Mac Jones still the starter? Let me answer like Bill Belichick. That's a hypothetical question right there at this point here. It's just one of those things when it comes down to who's the starter. We're not really going to know, Roan, at this point when it comes to who's going to be the starter.
I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter much outside of super flex leagues too.
Right. So we'll have to wait and see there. How about this, though, Roan? One of the props we did talk about from last night here, the Stevenson prop for his receiving yards. He ended up going 8 for 59 there, and that was a very low one.
Yeah, I mean, but again, you couldn't have predicted the game script would go like that, So if you did play it, it worked out for you, but I don't think anyone envisioned the Patriots trailing most of this game and being down 10-0 after the first quarter, and then the quarterback change. So he only had 11 carries for 39 yards, did have the rushing touchdown, came through in the passing game, but pretty much all the other props didn't work on the New England side. I know we didn't really look at any of the receivers. Jacoby Myers, 2 for 34 and a touchdown. I actually, once he scored a touchdown, I thought I was losing a matchup on because I was going against him, and he didn't do anything after that. I actually wound up winning by 2 points, so got kind of fortunate there. But yeah, it was, from a fantasy perspective, it was a pretty ugly game. You know, Damian Harris came back, 3 carries for 8 yards. They didn't really use him, so I wonder if they if this is what they're going to do going forward with Stevenson, or are they easing Harris back. But I think you feel good if you have Stevenson in fantasy right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what we're looking at there with Damian Harris, like you're saying. Who the heck knows? The Patriots 0 points in that second half. Right after we got off the air, Roan, we had some news break. And just like that, next guy up, you're thinking Michael Carter is in line for 15 to 20 carries moving forward with Breece Hall done for the year. The Jets end up trading for a player that you and I have kind of been crapping on a bit. And since the first few weeks, things have kind of gone downhill for this guy. But now, new change of scenery, likely in the carry split. What did you think of the Jets trading a 6th, potentially 5th round pick for James Robinson?
I mean, it's good for them to go for it. I mean, I don't know what's up with Robinson. You know, he didn't play much this past week. Maybe they were doing that to keep him healthy because they had a trade in mind. I still think Michael Carter has some value. I think he'll be more involved in the passing game. They clearly don't think Carter can be elite back because they drafted Breece Hall. Now they're quick to go get another running back. So, I think they'll both be used. It'll kind of be a split. Carter will catch more passes. Robinson probably the goal line back.
Yeah, so that's very interesting there. And everybody to me, Rono, because, I've obviously being a Jet fan, and I know a lot of us don't like to admit that we root for this team because it's embarrassing. But a few of my friends, Rono, I'm sure you're kind of shocked that I actually have friends. So there you go, squad goals for the year for me, gaining more friends. So with that, they were all night long going, what about Kareem Hunt? What about Kareem Hunt? What about Kareem Hunt? And it's like, dude, it's the asking price. And you and I talked about this recently. The difference in an asking price between a 6th round pick and a 1st or 2nd is pretty massive. And I think people forget about that when it comes to NFL bartering there, because I don't think the Jets were going to go after Kareem Hunt with that kind of asking price attached to him.
Yeah, it comes down to what you're giving up. And the Jets didn't give up much here, which is probably why they did it at this point. And, it's good to see them be aggressive here at 5-2. No one expected them to be this good. So good for them for trying to go for it, even with several injuries that they were hit with this past week.
Tell me, man, you got to tell me. You a believer in this team, or are we going to be talking about 6-7 weeks from now how the Jets are on a 7-game losing streak?
It's going to be tough to continue with the way Wilson is playing. They've been able to get by defensively, but definitely worry about them. They have the Patriots 2 times, I believe, in the next 3 weeks, and the Bills. So maybe they could look. I mean, at this point, I think a lot of people thought they were in trouble against the Patriots, but could be a real low defensive battle. Maybe they split that. Don't see them beating the Bills, but the fact that they are in this spot is really good.
Very surprising right there. Other news that we've seen here for this Thursday night game, and we're going to talk about this at length over the next few days, but Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, a little bit banged up. So we're just going to have to wait and see there for them and their status moving forward. Russell Gage apparently also banged up. Julio Jones, he's just always hurt no matter what anyway. So a few notes there heading into Thursday night's game. I'm actually kind of intrigued, even though the poor quarterback play from both Jackson and Brady, I'm still very intrigued to see this game on Thursday night. Maybe not as excited as I thought I'd be 6-7 weeks ago, but still, Rowan, I'm excited for Ravens Bucks at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than what we've been given over the last few weeks. So at least you still have, 2 quarterbacks that could be good. It's obviously a big storyline here with Brady and the Bucks. Are they going to be able to rebound? And, the Ravens could easily be 7-0. And I know people are like, oh, why are you saying that? You could say that with a lot of teams. I mean, they've blown some big leads. I mean, they really dominated the Dolphins and blew that in the fourth quarter. They had the lead against the Bills. We're up 17. They had the lead against the Giants and blew that late. They were able to hold on last week, but a couple things here or there, and they could be much better. They clearly have flaws, though, which is why they are 4-3 and on the road too in Tampa on a short week. So, it is an interesting game.
I'm very interested. Maybe the thing I'm most excited about, I want to see how the Ravens run game fares against the Bucks after we saw the Panthers backs kind of destroy them, run all over them. I'm now interested to see what happens there, how the carries are divided. I mean, you got to be just encouraged as hell with what you saw from Gus Edwards last week.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what adjustments are they going to make? But yeah, there's a lot of questions on both sides, and Brady will be the big storyline.
Yes, fun guests coming up here who you're very familiar with here on BSN. First, Andrew Cooper from Front Yard Fantasy and FantasyAlarm.com. He's going to stop by. You catch Front Yard Fantasy with Simon, JL, and Coop, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern. And then, so he'll join us, talk all things football. We're going to go into that tight end position, which is going to be absolutely gross, but we're somehow going to get through it with all of you. Rick Kamla, Bettor Sports Live, big giveaway tonight. We'll talk about that in a little bit. He's going to join us. That airs 7 p.m. Eastern, but he's going to stop by just to talk about the state of the NBA. Every week, we're going to be joined by Rick on Tuesdays to talk about the league, to talk about trendy teams. And Roan, again, you and I were just talking about this before. We'll spend a couple of minutes here. When you're wagering on NBA, when you're playing DFS, even season-long fantasy, it's almost like the NBA is an eternal witching hour where active players become inactive and inactive players suddenly become questionable, Roan. With a 4-game slate, especially no Josh Giddey, thinking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be out tonight, ruled out yesterday, all of a sudden the guy's questionable out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it happens from time to time, and it sucks if you placed a wager on a team because you can't take that back. At least if it's DFS, you can change your lineup. But, if you placed a wager on the game or a player prop that benefits a player seeing an increased usage rate because 2 starters are out, and now you're like, oh, no, this guy could play, it hurts. So it happens from time to time a little bit too much, and you hope that it would decrease with sports betting becoming legal in so many states.
Yeah, and that's just going to be get used to it. This is the NBA, like the old saying, where amazing happens. That's something that's very unbelievable. It's good we're getting used to it now before it really starts to happen in the next month or two. He's Adam Rodas. Give him a follow on Twitter at Adam Rodas. Ro, what did you tweet regarding? I know that you responded to the whole video of the ref with Mike Evans. Was it an autograph? Was it not? Apparently, it's something regarding golf lessons. Everything is turned into this big, gigantic, dramatic story. What exactly did you respond to? I saw it pass through, but I missed what you tweeted out at Adam Rodas.
I don't know. Someone said something like they can't be a fan or something, but, I know I don't buy the story because they're kind of like, it feels like it's a cover up. Why did it take so long for it to come out? I don't know. It seems fishy to me. And you can't ask for autographs. It's the same thing as a media member, right? I root for guys. I'm fans. If I'm in the locker room with a media badge, I can't ask for an autograph. You got to be professional, and you can't have referees asking for an autograph. What do you mean? So you mean to tell me that he asked for an autograph for Evans? There's a questionable play on the field. It looked like offensive pass interference. I like Evans. Yeah, no flag. Come on, man. Like, everyone has a bias some way or another. So I don't know. I saw that. I'm like, damn, that looks real skeptical. And then the way they just kind of came out and said, yeah, no, it's because he knows someone at A&M, and he want to get his number for golf. I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. You could come up with something better than that. I think it's fishy.
Yeah, it's just one of the things. It's the price you pay when you're a media member. It's something, trust me, when being in the post game in locker rooms afterwards, for instance, sitting right next to Yohan Santana years ago. You don't think I wanted to start chatting him up and asking him for an autograph, whatever? Of course, but you don't do that. There's a certain amount of professionalism that when you work with these athletes, you just kind of leave it alone there and just be professional. Speaking of professional, Andrew Cooper on deck. Let's talk some fantasy football with Coop. Happy to be with all of you here on the Playbook, sponsored by Jock Market and powered by FantasyAlarm.com. Let's talk more football with all of you. We're going to be hanging out with you in the chat as always. Hey, Ross, I'm sorry about you missing your prop parlay because of Jacoby Myers, hanging out with Billy Hayes. Jay Allen I saw there before, so it's always great to be with all of you. Let's talk more fantasy football with Andrew Cooper on the Playbook here on Bettor Sports Network.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis.
Matt Ryan was the most added quarterback in CBS Sports League this week.
I don't know why.
I'm like, that's weird. Like Matt Ryan against Tennessee, that's kind of like a strange. Everybody add him, benched, done, injured. But they said like Frank Reich's like, yo, it's gonna be Sam Ehlinger either way. Like Ryan's benched.
And normally I would like to come on here and say, hey, Frank Reich, why don't you look in the mirror and look at your performance?
Yeah.
Guess what? Matt Ryan is not playing well. Matt Ryan should not be a starting quarterback in the NFL right now. See, here's the thing, right? When these old quarterbacks go to Indianapolis, they're sold on, we got this great offensive line. No, you have a great offensive lineman in Nelson.
Right, Quentin Nelson.
The rest of those dudes stink. And now you put somebody my age back there, and you look at Matt Ryan, and all he's doing is watching the pass rush, trying not to get hit, and then throwing the football to wherever he can.
Yeah.
He leads the league in interceptions with 9. So Reich is probably thinking, if we can stop turning the ball over, maybe we can have something here. Now, the kid Ehlinger, he's been a Heisman candidate. He's been a guy that's been a blue chip quarterback. So now they want to give him a shot to see if he could be the guy, or do they need to go draft a quarterback? So I think it's the right move to bench Matt Ryan at this point. Matt Ryan is washed up. Matt Ryan's been washed up for a couple years now.
Yeah.
And you keep saying to your fan base, oh, this veteran quarterback going to come in and save us. We almost was fooled again this year. There's a lot going on in Indianapolis. And O-line is problematic. That I don't think they're schemed well with the head coach. Matt Ryan throwing interceptions. The defense can't stop the run. They're on the field a lot and they don't go nowhere. They have these big, long drives and they miss a field goal. It's just a bad brand of football. It's time to bring in the kid.
First and 10 from the 11. Jaguars with the lead in the ball here under center. Toss to the right to James Robinson. James to the 10, inside the 10, inside the 5-yard line. James Robinson into the end zone, touchdown. An 11-yard touchdown run, but James Robinson has extended the lead.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
The Playbook continues here on BSN, and when you wake up early in the morning to get started on all your sports prep, you get greeted at 7 a.m. Eastern all week long from JL Simon and our next guest. You can also follow him FantasyAlarm.com and on Twitter at Coop A Fiasco. It is Andrew Cooper stopping by once again to talk some football. What's up, Coop? How you doing? Oh, I think, guys, we need to let Coop in the room here. I'm not a tech guy, but I feel like that there might be a little tech thing right there, Rome. So as we get Coop ready, we're going to talk with Andrew Cooper about James Robinson, the Jaguars radio network on the call there. Soon to be now the Jets, and there he is right there, Andrew Cooper. Coop, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's up, fellas? Always good to get all the Fantasy Alarm guys on one show. You know, I hold it down in the morning for FA, but this is the FA show. This is the Playbook. Feel right at home here with you guys, dude. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And also, by the way, you can catch Andrew Cooper with John and Pemba on Sundays, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern for the Game Day Playbook here. Kind of our sister show at this point here, but all powered by FantasyAlarm.com. Coop, you guys do a great job answering a ton of questions. And here's one I have for you right here. We heard the James Robinson highlight right there. Now a member of the New York Jets. How are you feeling the carries are going to be divided? Well, first, how do you feel about the acquisition of Robinson to the Jets? And how do you feel the carries will be divided moving forward?
I mean, for that price, what's the harm? Especially because it's like, you know, these classic trades they do nowadays where if the guy pans out, it's a 5th round pick. If he doesn't, it's a 6th. I mean, what's a 6th these days anyway? The way I look at it, man, I think this is going to be like the Browns light. Unfortunately, you know, your Jets lost Mekhi Becton. They just lost Elijah Vera Tucker too. So probably not as good of a run game, but You've got James Robinson in the Nick Chubb role. You know, he's got 20 pounds on Michael Carter, so it makes sense. Michael Carter being the Kareem Hunt, coming in on pass plays, probably what you're going to get. And as far as getting value off the wire, probably your last chance to scrape a little bit. So, you know, worth a grab, but not as exciting now that the trade went down, right? You guys agree on that?
Yeah. One of the tight ends that we've been relying on that we got either as a backup tight end or off the waiver wire was David Njoku, and now an injury there. So if people are looking to replace him, are there any tight ends that you could see that you could pick up in 12-team leagues to fill the gap while Njoku's out?
You know, I'm at this point, I'm obligated to mention my boy Evan Ingram. You know,
I actually have him in a few leagues. So
I'm telling you, man, ever since that Hurricane game against the Eagles, he's had 10 targets, 6 targets, 7 targets. At a certain point, that stuff pays off, man. He's still out there. He's only owned 41% of Yahoo leagues. So, you know, if you're in a shallower league, he's probably out there. Go ahead and grab him. You can plug him right in. In the deeper leagues, I'm looking to just start whoever I can trust for 1 week at a time. Cameron Brate has a sprained neck. Cade Otton, in the first game, week 5, without Cameron Brate, he played 74 of 79 snaps, caught 6 to 7 targets. This past week, he played a huge snap share, over 80%, caught 4 passes for 67 yards. Like, that's a guy that as long as Cameron Brate's out, I'm plugging him in. If you got to go deeper, I know some leagues are super deep. Juwan Johnson, he's basically a converted wide receiver that plays tight end. You know, had 2 touchdowns this week, so probably a hot commodity, but he plays even better with Jameis Winston than Andy Dalton. So if Jameis is back, his wheels up there. And then, you know, if you're really panicking, if Mark Andrews out, Isaiah Likely, a guy that plays 80% of his snaps from wide receiver. So that's 4 guys right there, ranging from, you know, 40% owned to 2% owned. Evan Ingram, Cade Otton, Juwan Johnson, Isaiah Likely. If all those guys are rostered in your league, I can't help you. I got nothing for you, boys.
That's not good to hear, Coop. We still got plenty of season ahead, and we got to start a tight end somewhere, man. But
that's as deep as it goes, man. If you're,
well,
if you got,
when you're wasting 3rd, 4th round capital on Kyle Pitts, then all of a sudden, you know, it really stinks. So I got to ask you, man, with Marcus Mariota now taking over for Justin Fields as the quarterback who will do whatever it takes to not throw 20 passes, how worried should we be about Pitts long term?
And this is the classic example of how, because I'm a stat nerd myself, but this is a classic example of how the stat nerds, the stats aren't everything. Because, you know, we always talk about target share. Kyle Pitts had a 38% target share this week, right? But 38% of 13 passes is what, five passes? It's not getting it done. I mean, if they're not going to throw, there's nothing you can do about it. So for me, you know, the upside's always going to be there. The guy is the 2nd highest target share of any tight end in the league. It's just a number of targets that's so insanely small. Like, I'm pretty sure Marcus Mariota has thrown fewer passes on the season than Joe Flacco, and the dude was benched 4 weeks ago. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing, dude? So I think for long term, like in your dynasty leagues, go out and get this guy. He didn't stop being a 6'6" guy built like Megatron. It's just they're not throwing. So go out and get him in dynasty, but you're probably gonna have to look elsewhere in redraft. I mean, I'd start Evan Ingram over him. You gotta start guys that are getting the football. I mean, that at the end of the day, you have to.
DeAndre Hopkins came back and was targeted heavily. We didn't see a big game from Zach Ertz. It's 1 week, or do you think that's a sign of things to come? Should we be worried about Zach Ertz' performance going forward with Hopkins back?
Yeah, I mean, anyone following me knows that I considered Zach Ertz and Gerald Everett to be band-aids for your team. You start them as long as you can, but you still got to look for that like long-term option, or just keep trying to give yourself a chance at upside. So Ertz, in this case, got lucky that Marquise Brown got hurt, because just imagine what it would be like if it was Hopkins and Marquise Brown instead of Hopkins and like Rondell Moore and Robbie Anderson. But for me, I'm going to continue to start Ertz where I have him because there's nothing else, but I'm going to continue giving myself a shot at upside. So if you have a bench spot for an Evan Ingram or a Cade Otton or anybody that could be a top 2 target on their team, I suggest you make alternative plans. I mean, he has a bye week 14, I'm pretty sure. So you're going to need somebody down the stretch anyway.
Hanging out with Andrew Cooper, FantasyAlarm.com's tight end whisperer, although we can't have any kind of whispers because these guys who normally would be your whispering candidates are needed on core teams at this point, with barely any tight ends we can trust. But you can trust Coop, of course, and JL and Simon on Front Yard Fantasy, 7 a.m. Eastern all week long here on BSN. And also you can catch Coop with John and Pemba every Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern for the Game Day Playbook edition. Coop, let's leave tight end and talk about Thursday night's game, because for those that have Lamar Jackson, it's a far cry from what we saw in the first few weeks of the year. And for those that invested in the 45-year-old Tom Brady, hasn't been so pretty in that regard too. Was just telling Roan that I'm very intrigued with this Thursday night matchup. Do you see either of these quarterbacks bouncing back against each other's teams this week, or is it going to be more misery when it comes to the fantasy state of these two?
It could be rough, man. It could be rough. With Lamar Jackson, like this is what happens when you build a very thin roster worth of weapons. We saw it all. We used to see it all the time with the Steelers, where it was like Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. The moment one of those players got hurt, season was over, right? And that when you trade away Marquise Brown and you're basically Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman, and then you use Patrick Ricard, the fullback, on 60% of the snaps. Like, this is what happens, man. You got to have people to throw the ball to. So Mark Andrews is banged up, Rashad Bateman's banged up, and it's like Devin Duvernay and Demarcus Robinson out there. It's like you got to jump on guys like Robbie Anderson when they're available, or Will Fuller, who's out there doing Lord knows what. Like, this team without weapons, they can't do anything. And then, from the Tom Brady side, to me, it just seems like he's not only distracted, but this isn't the same team that won the Super Bowl. He needs a better offensive line. He needs full strength wide receivers. Russell Gage banged up, Julio Jones out. So I don't know. Tom Brady, that one's more of, we might just be seeing the cliff. But Lamar Jackson, I think he's still Lamar Jackson, but you can't just do it all by yourself. I don't know if you guys have a different opinion on those guys, but I mean, tough to trust those guys in fantasy football, especially on a short week, right?
I mean, it's tough to trust anyone in fantasy football right now. Outside of like 2 guys, right?
It really is, bro. It really is. It's crazy, dude. Like, I can't remember years like this where it's just,
I was saying that too, because I know every year people go, "Oh, we say this every year," but it's never been like this. Offense is down, quarterback play is terrible. I'm sure everyone is getting a 0 or 1 or 2 every single week in at least 1 or 2 lineups if you're playing in multiple leagues. Like, this is insane what's going on. And I asked a couple of high stakes players I respect. They said, yeah, same thing. Like, it's been one of those puzzling years.
Right. Every wide receiver is Amari Cooper, right? Like, every wide receiver is capable of a one-catch game all of a sudden. I'm not sure when that happened, but why is Devontae Adams going out and having games with 12 yards? But you know what I mean?
Mark Andrews had a 0 last week. I mean, the one reliable tight end, one of the few, and he gets a 0.
0 spots, like, thank goodness we get Cooper Kupp and Diggs and the boys back off bye week. But this week, especially with Diggs, Jefferson, Kupp, AJ Brown, Gabe Davis, even Adam Thielen all on bye week, it was a pretty scrappy landscape out there. So happy to have some of those guys back.
So the Colts bench Matt Ryan for the year, they're saying, even though he is banged up. So what do you think of this decision, and what does it do for the Colts passing attack? Because they've been kind of pass heavily recently. We've seen Paris Campbell have 2 good weeks in a row, Pittman getting a lot of targets. What does it do with Ellinger at quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this up front. Like, I hate to do this because I don't know these people personally, but there's something about Jim Irsay that makes I don't trust that guy, dude. Like, he is just one of those like short fuse type dudes that turns on Carson Wentz like this, turns on Matt Ryan equally fast. And they're saying that he's behind this call. But I will defend one part of it, which I did see that, I was ready to just say Irsay's a jerk and all that. But I did see Frank Wright basically came out and said, hey, we told this guy that we were going to give him a run game. We're going to give him an offensive line. We weren't able to give him that. And now they're going with somebody a little more mobile that can kind of, work a little more magic. I mean, Matt Ryan's basically just standing there and waiting to fumble it or turn it over. So you might as well mix it up. But yeah, kind of sad to see it go that way for Matt Ryan. But I believe him when they say that they're moving on.
Give Andrew Cooper a follow on Twitter at Coupe Fiasco. A ton of content that he provides from fantasyalarm.com as well. And you can catch him every morning during the week on BSN, Front Yard Fantasy, 7 a.m. Eastern. Coop, you're a Patriots fan. What the hell did we see last night, man? And what do we make of this team moving forward? I mean, we could talk about the quarterbacks. Damian Harris, some people needing some points from him. He's barely involved. What's going on with your team?
Dude, I couldn't possibly tell. I will say this, when they tell you, whenever anyone says that you have 2 quarterbacks, that means that you have none. Like, it's historically been proven that just if they say, oh, we have 2 quarterbacks, that means you have no quarterbacks. One quarterback should be separating themselves. In my opinion, Mac Jones should just start the rest of the year. Those decisions, to me, need to be made in the offseason. Like, how you had all offseason to look at these guys. Mac Jones was the starter. He got hurt, and then now all of a sudden you're just going to throw that away because the backup had a couple good games against the Lions. You know what I mean? Like, let's just get Mac Jones in there, play it out. You're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. You're never going to. And then in the offseason, evaluate who's going to be the quarterback. But if you spend all week going back and forth between one guy that plays under center and one guy that plays shotgun, you really can't focus on what you needed to focus on, which was stopping the Bears. And they didn't do anything specific to the Bears. It seems Justin Fields could just do whatever he wanted, running all over the place. So I don't know. Like, this Patriots team is a disaster. It's the biggest black hole for fantasy football. Anytime you have a good defense, great special teams, which is the worst thing possible for fantasy football. Nothing better than Matthew Slater downing a punt at like the 3-yard line. And then a bad offense, like just awful for fantasy football. And it's awful for the teams that have to play this team. So as a Patriots fan, I'm just going to hold my nose and watch these games. But yeah, not great product for us, right?
We could say that about a lot of teams right now. But
yeah, I guess that's true.
With the Panthers, both running backs surprisingly had good fantasy games. We know Hubbard had the ankle injury. We'll have to see his status. But which of these two do you prefer the rest of the year, Foreman or Hubbard?
Yeah, I know you're a big Vegas guy, Ronas. I imagine you guys mentioned this earlier on the show, but Vegas probably got smoked on this game this week, huh?
Oh, dude, I said Vegas between Tampa and New England.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Not only the spread, the money lines and parlays. The books definitely had a victory party this week.
Oh yeah, 13.5 points. That's the only way you could have, like, you had to parlay or
they had no touchdowns. Tampa had no touchdowns. Like,
God.
how? Like,
what a
it's
mess,
mind-boggling what's going on right now.
In my opinion, Tom Brady did throw a touchdown pass. Mike Evans just
that's true.
Big time butterfingered that. Yeah. But I mean, good Lord, Vegas, dude. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, it took people to the cleaners this week. Vegas did. I mean, Donta Foreman looked good, and Chuba Hubbard's got the banged up ankle. I lean Foreman just because last year we saw Foreman look really good with the Titans, and Chuba has gotten a chance on this offense to be the guy. Not that great. You know what I mean? He looked good at Oklahoma State, but since then he's just been kind of eh. So for me, I think they went out and got Donta Foreman for a reason. They moved on to Christian McCaffrey for a reason. That's the guy I want. So yeah, give me Donta Foreman of those guys. And it's kind of hard to find a guy that's going to be the starting running back for his team at this point. So I think you got to drop the fab on him if he's still there.
Coop, I don't know if you know this or not, but your co-hosts actually plan their shows live on YouTube for the next day sometime there. So I saw JL and Simon on YouTube earlier. Literally, Roan, they've got a screenshot, the Front Yard Fantasy Crew, of their rundown, and they're filling it in. And people are just giving suggestions. Like, someone suggested, Coop, that you get replaced with a sock full of jelly or something like that. So no joke. I saw this before and I'm like, wow, that's pretty interactive. But that's exactly what you guys are. And especially when I'm getting my daughter ready in the morning, we're always tuning into you guys and hanging around with you guys and just chopping it up and talking football casually as it's supposed to be done. And I really like how organic you guys are when you're on the air. I'm not just saying that. I really mean it too. You can ask Ronas. I'm a stickler when it comes to broadcasts.
Yeah, I know. And I appreciate you coming on, hanging out with us. And the funny thing about the show sheet is we put all that work into it, and then basically the whole thing goes out the window.
But that's
we just
kind of you're not
crazy.
Supposed to get through your entire rundown. You're hoping that something that you come up with hits and you have a nice back and forth about it, getting others involved as well. That's actually always been my goal, never to get through every little thing we have on our show plan.
Can I drop a little Front Yard Fantasy secret on this show right now? This is an exclusive. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to say this, but we got a special guest coming on the Wednesday after this. So next Wednesday, a former NFL player, running back Ahmad Green.
Wow.
To hang out with us. Yeah. So make sure you stay tuned next Wednesday. He does some fantasy, talks fantasy. I got a fantasy football lineup that I had him in back in 2003. So I'm going to ask him. I was going to say
he was the third overall pick in 2003 fantasy football draft, behind probably Priest Holmes and Sean Alexander.
You already know. Know the type of squad. Yeah. But I'm going to ask him. I had his teammate Donald Driver. I had like Jerry Rice, like Clinton Portis, crazy team. So make sure you guys, download the app, stay subscribed, check us out. At least for that, that'll be fun. So we got some surprises coming up on the FYF show, and always at Fantasy Alarm. That's where the real content is. I have fun on that show in the morning. We have a blast. But if you want the hard-hitting articles, the nerdy stats, the league-winning information, those articles are on fantasyalarm.com, and they always will be.
A lot of content all the time. Give Coop a follow at Coop A Fiasco. Coop, thank you so much for stopping by.
Hey, always a pleasure, boys. Anytime for you guys.
Appreciate it. He's Adam Ronis. I'm Justin Fetsterman. We are going to get back to talking some football. Let's flip it over to the NBA, though, and talk about what we've seen and what we haven't seen from week 1 of the season. Rick Kamla stops by next. He joins us, and he is going to be on 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern tonight with Lisa Ann. So make sure you're tuning into that. But Rick's going to talk some hoops with us on the Playbook on Bettor Sports Network.
Bettor Sports Network. It's sports talk done better. The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 Eastern.
Breece Hall is down flat on his back, surrounded by the Jet training staff.
Yeah, absolutely sucks. You hate to see him go down 4 for 72 and a touchdown before getting hurt. I thought if we were doing a redraft today, he probably would have went in the first round. He's probably well on his way to winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's just terrible. He's been fun to watch. We were taking his props, and you hate injuries. You hate seeing players go down. Breece Hall's just brutal, and I have him in a 14-team league, so it really, really hurts because he was making up for my Najee Harris stupid pick in June. Like I said, only league I have him in, as I dug deeper and I said I don't want Najee Harris. So now I have to rely on him, which is not good in a 14-team league. But it really, really sucks to have one of the most exciting young running backs in the league go down.
Bettor Sports Live with Rick Kamla. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific. Carolina is just dumb. They're just dumb. They don't get it. They hired the wrong coach. They hired the wrong OC. They traded for the wrong quarterback. They made the wrong trade here with San Francisco. It's wrong. It's just wrong all the way around. You have to get a first-round pick for Christian McCaffrey. The deadline, folks, is November 1st. So if this were October 31st, cool, strike the deal. You waited. All right, there's no first out there for us. Cool. Let's pull the trigger here. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Let's do the deal with San Fran. Because this deal would be out there the whole time. San Fran's not going anywhere. If they think that they might get McCaffrey, taking it all the way up to the deadline, they're not shipping out their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and 5th round picks in the future. They're going to keep them just in case Carolina wants to pick that phone back up and say, yo, let's strike a deal. This is dumbassery by the Carolina Panthers front office. Why are you doing this now? Oh, we don't want to play Christian McCaffrey and have him get hurt, and then we have no trade. Come on, man. Be more creative. However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network. The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
Morant hangs and puts it in. Durant trying to save the ball. A look ahead to Morant. Gets the crowd on its feet. Morant into a crowd. Durant digs at it. Morant forces it in anyway. The strength by Morant. Morant for 3. Bingo!
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com on Bettor Sports Network.
Grizzlies television network on the call. Ja Morant, still good at basketball, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, had his prop last night. I thought that was a pretty easy one at over 29.5 points.
The Memphis Grizzlies 3-1 on the season to start here. We're going to talk in just a few minutes with Rick Kamla from Bettor Sports Live here to talk a little NBA. But want to tell you, speaking of opportunities, we're all about the opportunities here on BSN because we're giving away more cool prizes, and you could be a winner here on Bettor Sports Network. If you join Bettor Sports Live tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, Rick Kamla, Lisa Ann, your chance to win. Not your chance, Roan. You can't qualify, unfortunately, but a Trayvon Diggs Dallas Cowboys signed jersey. Just another opportunity to win. You like memorabilia, BSN. Tell your friends, download the app and be ready 8 p.m. Eastern because this guy who you're seeing right here is going to be giving away an autographed jersey of Ronis' Cowboys here, Mr. Diggs. Mr. Kamla, what's going on? How you doing?
There's a lot of Cowboy fans around here, man. Like everybody, I'm a Cowboy fan. I'm a Cowboy fan. I love the Cowboys. I've been a lifelong Cowboy fan. I've always hated the Cowboys, Ronis and Fensty. But what's up, fellas?
Who do you root for in football?
My fantasy teams.
You
And
don't
my
have
prop
any
bets.
allegiance?
All right, so I'm glad you went there because I get a chance to show you my shirt here. Can you guys see what we're working with right there?
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I was just saying, Rick, divisional championships are stupid, man. Who cares if you win the
Okay.
division?
So this was actually for the conference. Does this say it says Western? Actually, that's kind of dumb. It does say division.
Yeah.
Yes, I can read.
It does.
That's
I
right.
thought it meant conference. But anyway, this shirt is like almost 20 years old, right? But you guys are hoop heads, so I just wanted to rock that for you. But it's to personify the fact that I am divorced from these guys, the Timberwolves. I've gone from my Wolves and in a steamy love affair to they're dead to me, and it's a divorce. I can't invest in this team anymore. They were down by 35 points to San Antonio at home last night with a healthy roster. Okay, this is what the Wolves do. They torture their fan base. So I'm out. Can't hurt me anymore. I don't know if I've told you guys my Viking story, but lifelong fan, grew up with them, torturing me my entire life. And the 38-7 Philadelphia NFC title game, that was it. Divorce. Hire the attorneys, money exchanged, and the whole thing, and I'm out. So I am an NFL team free agent. I'm also an NBA team free agent, but I'll tell you what, I got a team 2 hours from where I live right now that I watch every night, and I love them, and that's the Orlando Magic. So I'm not going fanboy on them yet, but you never know.
Well, I don't think they're going to deliver you a title this year. But what would happen if one of those Minnesota teams you used to root for won a championship? What would you do?
I would congratulate a lot of people that I know, like Paul Allen, the voice of the Vikings. That's my homie. I go way back with him. It's my brother. So he gets a ring from that. So I'd be very, very happy for him. But there would not be one shred of yeah, I'm done. I can't stress that to you guys enough because, for honest, I get asked that all the time. And the guys in Atlanta that I used to work with, big ball busters, give me a break, man. The moment they're good again, you're going to be right back on the bandwagon. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, I don't care how hot my former wife gets. Okay, I am not going back. Okay.
Wow. Well, Rick, let's talk
That I
about
agree
a
with.
team since you're an NBA fan free agent at this point. Rick, you could align yourself with the Portland Trailblazers, who
Same
started
time.
4-0, man. And look, when you add pieces like a Jeremy Grant, you beef up defensively a bit. Josh Hart, no slouch defensively too. I feel like with this team, it's been so offensively focused over the last few years, and obviously with the health issues that crushed them last year. But now, looking at the recipe of this team, they've got some defensive pieces. And while we can't expect them to stay as a dominant number one team in the conference, their defense holds up. They're going to be competing.
I've been kind of in a lonely place about the Blazers. Like I love their offseason. Loved it. You get Jeremy Grant in the trade. Detroit should have never traded him. And you extend Dame, you pay Little, you paid Simons, you paid Nurk, all like decent deals, right? I mean, Simons didn't get 120, 130 like Barrett and Hero money, right? Very team-friendly deal. You guys saw him cook for 22 points in the third quarter last night. He had 6 threes in 3 minutes. That's Klay Thompson stuff, man. Dame's gone 41, 41, 32 or something I think he had last night. They got a bench. Shaedon Sharpe, guys. If people have him in a dynasty league, do not trade Shaedon Sharpe. I'm telling you, because I am going to try to poach him in some leagues here. Fensty's in one of them. Do you have Shaedon Sharpe?
I was looking at the rosters right now as you were saying that. I'm like, no, Matt, let's be real. Matt Deutsch probably has him because his first 10-round pick
probably does. Or Oppenheim, because they just went, it's Matt Deutsch's word, but he said, I want an embryo team. And he's got an embryo team. Okay, I love that. That cracked me up. So, look, I love what they got going on in Portland. Check out this transformation, guys. This is why they're good, okay? Because they've always been good offensively, right? They're 6th in defensive rating right now. Last year, they were 30th. And I've heard Amin El-Hassan, who I do radio with, I didn't ask him for the stat, but he has said that the Blazers' defense last year was historically bad. Okay, so I think they set some kind of record for worst shit-ass defense of all time. Any old way, they're 6th right now. They've got defensive players. You've got a defensive preaching coach in Chauncey Billups. He was a 2-time all-defensive team player. We know that not the bad boy Pistons, but the Larry Brown Pistons, how did they win? They beat you 81-77. So Billups knows defense, and you've got an MVP candidate, in my opinion, in Dame. I'm not saying he will be at the core of it, because at the core of it, I've got in order Luka, Giannis, and Curry. But to me, we're going to have guys like Ja Morant is staking claims to MVP, right? But I think Damian Lillard and MVP, looking at the odds, is going to be very deep on it, plus 1,500, plus 2,000, whatever it is. Not a bad little dice roll on Dame right now.
Philadelphia, they finally got their first win last night. It's only 4 games. Losing to Boston, Milwaukee, not a big deal, but losing to the Spurs when the Spurs were plus 600 on the money line was certainly shocking. Is there anything to be concerned about, or just kind of a slow start here, and maybe Embiid with that plantar fasciitis maybe still an issue?
I think there are concerns here, Ronas, because James Harden's feeling good, and it's good and bad news for Philadelphia, because now there's not this defer mindset that he had in Brooklyn. You guys remember when he played up there with Kyrie and Kevin? It was a very deferential mindset. He was the dime guy, the point guard, 22, 8, and 10 kind of stat line. And he is back to, I'm in shape, MVP. He's already talked about it, right? When I'm in shape like this, I'm thinking I'm at an MVP level. Boom, he put it out there. That means he's coming for Embiid's money. And we're seeing it on the court. Look at usage rate. Look at shot attempts, okay? It has swung towards Harden in a big way. Harden is not there to lead the way. Embiid is, but Embiid's in bad shape because he had the plantar fasciitis all offseason. And like Cat in Minnesota, it's going to take him a minute to play himself into shape. And we're talking about weeks. It's not going to happen tonight, tomorrow, whatever. It's going to take a minute for Embiid to do that. So it's going to be the James Harden show, at least for like the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season. But Philadelphia's defense has been trash, and you guys know this. And they got better against Indiana last night. It's Indiana, okay? When you play a Bucks, a Celtics, something like that, show me that you can grind out a 105-100, a 109-107, because right now Philly's getting in track meets, and that's not Doc Rivers basketball.
No, it's not. Doc Rivers basketball. Doc Rivers basketball, Rick, stinks, okay? I'm just going to say that right there. He's a glorified coach. He was given his championship. I said it one time on this network earlier when I was on with Kyle and Ray, and I just got to say, you brought him up again, and I don't know if you think differently. I do. I've always thought he's an underachiever. Those Clippers teams built, he can get out of the first round. Those Magic teams I could forgive a bit. But then those Celtics teams too, he was handed that squad, Rick.
Okay, so a couple of things. Is Doc worthy of criticism? Yes, he is. He's also worthy of a lot of praise. He's one of 6 guys in the history of the game to win 1,000 games and a ring. Him and 5 other guys. That's impressive to me.
Lenny Wilkens too doesn't make him a great coach.
I understand what you're saying. The Clipper thing, guys, was more about the funk of Chris Paul and Blake Griffin than it was Doc, because those teams had talent. Jamal Crawford, J.J. Redick, DeAndre Jordan, right? Like, my God, they were great teams, right? Clipper fans thinking they're going to win a championship and all this kind of stuff. But did Doc coach his ass off? Maybe there were some coaching mistakes, right? Right, Fenty? But it was funky. I talked to Maurice Spates, who played for the Clipper team, won a championship with the Warrior team, and he talked about the dichotomy between the environment with the teams. And he said that the Clippers, when they left the facility, they all went their separate ways. They all had this, and they didn't show up to each other's functions and little events and stuff like that. He was with the Warriors. He said everybody shows up to everything. It's like whoosh, it's a magnet. Okay, you're having a backyard party, everybody's at the backyard party. It's a family. The Clippers were more like just professional basketball players, right? So they didn't have that love, that connectivity. And by the way, Blake Griffin, do you guys remember him being a super clutch playoff player or largely a playoff choke artist? Okay, sort of the power forward version of James Harden. So I would let Doc off the hook a little bit for that, but that's just my view on it.
Miami Heat, they're off to a slow start, 1-3. Any concerns with them?
There are. They don't have PJ Tucker anymore, right? And I had big concerns coming in. They didn't backfill the position. They hired from within with Caleb Martin. They gave him a raise, gave him money. He just got suspended. I'm not mad at the young fella, but, tackling Koloko, like, What are we doing here? And then he asked him out to dinner. Like, yo, let's, I want to apologize. And it's kind of weird. But I am concerned. Kyle Lowry is looking like very Russell Wilson-y, right? Like real toasty. So I'm not really feeling the Miami Heat right now. I wasn't in the offseason. I have them 5th right now in the East coming into the year. And look, they'll be a good team. They're going to win between 45 and 50 games. They're going to be right there. But without PJ Tucker, to me, it's like the Beverly thing in Minnesota. Minnesota is missing Patrick Beverly right now in a huge way. They're already calling out Cat's leadership up in Minnesota because he's not a great leader. It's not what he was put on earth to do. He's put on earth to be Karl Anthony Towns, and have other guys like PJ Tucker, Patrick Beverly, Marcus Smart, guys like that do the leading on the team. Beverly is in LA right now, and Minnesota is missing it. There's no way they lose by 35 or get down in a game by 35 to a ragtag team like that last year with Patrick Beverly. There's no way that happens.
Hanging out with Rick Kamla. Give him a follow on Twitter at Rick Kamla Sports, and make sure you catch Bettor Sports Live with Rick and Lisa Ann tonight, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern. Rick, you're giving away a Trevon Diggs autographed jersey. Don't be surprised if you see Mr. Ronis right here trying to contend for that thing. Rick, what's coming up on the show tonight?
Well, we have a lot of talk between me and Lisa Ann about week 8 coming up in the NFL. I'll have prop bets for the basketball games. I've got 6 of them going in tonight. We've got the over on Wiggins. We've got the over on Trey Murphy. I feel like with the guys out, he's going to have a good game against Dallas tonight, and many, many more. But we'll unpack it all, and we'll have a blast with Lisa Ann coming up about an hour from now.
The Lakers, definitely not a shock that they're this bad. They have lost to some good teams, though. But I'm pretty sure that you're not high on the Lakers, and you think this is going to be something that continues. Is that right? And this whole Westbrook thing just continues to spiral downward?
It's a lovable train wreck, man. It really is.
Yeah.
You know how good this is for business over at NBA Radio? I mean, my God. Oh, my God. It's so juicy. It's
because it's fun to hate on Russell Westbrook. That's why.
Well, people hate LeBron too, so they like to see this.
Yeah, but it's just like they're the most talked about bad team ever, man.
Right,
and we can't stop talking about him because Russ keeps doing and saying stuff. LeBron keeps doing and saying. I mean, LeBron called out the lack of shooting after the first game. Okay, that's a story. Anthony Davis starting at the 5, finally, for the love of God. My God, it's one up, right? I mean, it's everybody goes 1 in 4 out these days, right? How do you not know that, bro? Come on, it's the way you have to play. So it's always something out there with them. But Ronas, no, I was not high on the LA Lakers coming in. I had them 10th in the West, making the play-in tournament, losing out, not making the playoffs, unless they made a trade, at which point we can recalculate our expectations. But based on what they have right now, no. And I actually looked ahead at their schedule because Woj had the report that the Lakers aren't going to make a trade until around Thanksgiving at the earliest, right? They want to reevaluate things at that point. So I looked at it, and I came up with their record, in my opinion, going out to Thanksgiving. Guys, they're going to be 4-12 on Thanksgiving. 4-12, 8 under, on their way to maybe 20 under. I think LeBron and AD are going through the motions, getting numbers, and there's no like eye of the tiger. There's not. They're just out there playing ball, taking L's, getting numbers, and getting paid and going back to their beautiful homes right on the beach. And life is good, man. That's the vibe I got with the Lakers right now.
Well, very quickly, Rick, let's talk about the Clippers here because we have no Paul George tonight. And with Kawhi Leonard, I mean, we've seen him play low 20s minutes here. Is this a spot where we see him extended a bit, or will the Clippers continue to be very cautious with how they use him despite George being inactive tonight?
The Clippers are going to clipper. The answer is, Fensty, I don't know.
That's fair.
Because who knows what the training staff's game plan is for tonight's game. I mean, I love T. Lue, but this isn't a T. Lue thing. I mean, I love T. Lue. Like, if I were a billionaire, I would literally trade for him. I would pay him double what he makes right now. Like, I would go get Tyronn Lue. But it's not his fault. It's the training staff, analytics, metrics, the front office, the bubble wrap. It drives me crazy. Like Kawhi Leonard's been off 780 days, right? And can't be ready to start the season and play 28 minutes per game.
Right.
Like, what is that? Like, that's garbage. Every other guy that's come back is John Wall's like coming off the bench, but Michael Porter Jr. starting, Jamal Murray starting. All these guys are starting. It's so weird. It's so Clipper. I don't like it. It's a we'll take an L today to get him tomorrow mentality that I just don't like. And George has an illness, right? Didn't I see non-COVID illness
Yes.
for PG? All right, so that is what it is. He's ill. They're not bubble wrapping him, but they sure as heck are bubble wrapping Kawhi Leonard. And so I don't know. His line was, guys, 17.5, 15.5, something like that. So
I didn't even want to look at the line because
like you would think without Paul George, okay, I'm going to go over on Kawhi Leonard tonight.
Right.
Knock yourself out. Go for it. Do it if you want. He should go over tonight. It's Oklahoma freaking City, okay, with no Paul George. But I don't know. The Clippers are going to Clipper. What if the Clippers are destroying them in the third quarter?
Right.
Is Kawhi Leonard going to come out for his fourth quarter stint?
Nope.
You guys know the answer to that.
Nope. We'll have to see regarding the Thunder too, because all of a sudden SGA was ruled out yesterday, now questionable, and I'm hitting the refresh on Twitter to see if anything happens. Welcome to the NBA, though, where inactives suddenly become active 2 hours before. Rick, everybody's going to get to hang with you and Lisa Ann 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. A shot at getting an autographed Trevon Diggs jersey, Cowboys jersey, Rick. That's going to be a lot of fun, and thank you as always for joining us.
Guys, it is my pleasure. Enjoy the rest of the show. I will see you guys and everybody else at 7 o'clock with the great Lisa Ann. Can't wait, man. You guys be good.
Better Sports Live. Make sure you check it out while you're watching all the sports go on here. He's Adam Ronis. I'm Justin Fensterman. Let's flip it back to football here every single week on fantasyalarm.com. I do the weekly stock watch video, 3 players trending up, 3 players trending down. Let's talk about who made the list both good and bad before we discuss waivers. And then guess what? We're going to dive deeper into the 4 NBA games tonight. Give some bets, give some props. Whole lot more fun coming on the playbook on BSN.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better. Nando and Friends, presented by Mayo Media on Better Sports Network.
It's not like Russell Wilson's throwing for 300 yards and they're just losing, because of whatever, 31 to 24 or something like that. That's another thing.
Go out there, sit up in that cold stadium, and come to root on that trash. I feel bad for the Denver Bronco fans. Imagine you taking your family and you say, "Let's pack up the van. We going to go see the Denver Broncos in the Walmart, guys." Right. And you get out there in that altitude, right? So now the kids already complaining, "Daddy, my head hurts. Daddy, I don't feel good. Daddy, I don't want to be here. The Walmart man is up there. How come he's been cut through? My head is hurting. It's cold, Daddy. Can I get a glizzy?" And the glizzy costs, great value glizzy, costs $17. Because you got to pay $40 to $45 million for the quarterback who stinks. That's a bad fan experience right now.
Let me give you my Honey Nut Cheerios story real quick.
Yes, tell me.
I'm at the grocery store, and I got to buy Cinnamon Toast Crunch. They eat here. And there's a thing, like buy 2, get 2 free. So it's like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Lucky Charms, Cheerios, whatever. So I get 2 Cinnamon Toast Crunches, and there's a Cheerios. Let's check my 4th one. And I noticed on the Honey Nut Cheerios, there's a free toy inside. And it's like all the retro 90s commercial things. So no one eats Honey Nut Cheerios. I'm going to eat a box of Honey Nut Cheerios. Just to get my toy. So, and then I'm taking the Cinnamon Toast Crunches off the shelf. And I noticed the ones behind it have the retro toy as well. We'll have 3 toys in this home.
I still got my adult Happy Meal toys, which they're actually going crazy on eBay right now. You know?
Are they really?
Yeah.
How did we miss that?
Listen, people. There's some of them that's listed for $300,000. But yeah, you can Fry Guy. You can get $25 for Fry Guy right now.
Oh, that's not really going wild. I thought like $300.
No, I think it will soon though. I'm gonna hold on. I got Fry Guy and Hamburglar, so I'm gonna hold on to them.
It's time for the Playbook Stock Watch. Whose stock is up?
Walker gets the handoff, starts left, goes up the middle 5, down to the goal line. Is he in? He is! Touchdown! Seahawks!
And whose stock is down?
Jackson in a shotgun sack. Bobbled snap. Retreats. He's under pressure. He's back at the 20. Sidearms and intercepted.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
Seahawks Radio Network identifying one of the players trending up in this week's Stock Watch video as we welcome you back to the Playbook, powered by FantasyAlarm.com and also sponsored by Jock Market here on BSN. A lot of fun with great guests from the channel here. Here's the good thing about all of us. We can tap into each other's shows via the chat. Rowan, I don't know if have you ever gone into anybody else's show and just started responding on the chat at all? Have you done that yet?
Not yet, no.
Yeah, I've been infiltrating some shows, though, and just trying to chat. Just want to see where everybody's at with certain players. Also, good material to cross-promote on the network. So we thank all of our Bettor fans out there for making sure you hang with us all day and the night throughout the week here on BSN. Got all our work at FantasyAlarm.com, including what we're going to talk about right now, the weekly Stock Watch. Ronan, we might as well already say we're going to have some props, hopefully not the same one, but Ken Walker, for obvious reasons, trending up now. The way he's been running, the explosiveness, hard to take this guy down. Going up against the Giants, who, even though they're playing very well to start this year off, even though we're weeks into it, many weeks in, but still, Giants have given up a lot of yards on the ground, setting up Ken Walker for a nice matchup. And we don't know what the props are going to be, but I imagine, Roan, that he's going to be involved on one, if not both, of our lists this week.
Probably at this point. I mean, it's a touchdown now in 3 straight games, 2 straight weeks of 20-plus carries. Not involved in the passing game much, but it really hasn't mattered. He's just explosive. He's averaging 6.1 yards per carry on the season. Had the 74-yard run last week, 69-yard run in the 9th against the Saints. So I might even look at his longest run prop, because we've seen Chubb is sitting at 18.5, Barkley at 16.5. He's probably going to be in that range, and he just keeps him breaking him off. So yeah, I mean, I have him as a top 5 running back this week.
Yeah, it's just been excellent there. And I liked him at the start, even before the season too. I mean, it was only a matter of time with Rashad Penny, but still at the same time, I made sure to try to get him on some of my teams. A big best ball guy he was for me as well, and like the landing spot too. We'll have to see what happens when it comes to the Seahawks offense. Obviously, dealing with DK Metcalf, dealing with him being banged up here, how that changes the offense there. Another player trending up who's been moving up a lot, and that's Joe Burrow. Because not only is he throwing touchdown passes, we would beg, Ron, we talk about some of the other quarterbacks who have failed. We beg for multi-touchdown games from some of these quarterbacks. Joe Burrow's been doing just that, and he's been running in scores consistently as well here, as he has a Monday night date. I know it's a divisional opponent, and I know that the Bengals haven't fared well against fellow divisional opponents, but still, with what we're seeing from Burrow, he's just been getting it done.
Yeah, again, there's very few reliable quarterbacks right now. And I've been saying it, that the problem I had with the Bengals is they were running too much. They've started to kind of come out of that and pass a lot more over the last couple weeks. And that's what they should be doing. As Joe Mixon has just not been efficient on the ground. And you have an array of weapons, a wide receiver with Chase, Higgins, Boyd, Hayden Hurst, even Mixon in the pass game. So you should be a passing offense. And they're starting to do that a little bit more lately. 42 pass attempts last week, and you're seeing the results. 481 and 3 touchdowns. He even rushed one in. He's got 3 rushing touchdowns. In fact, he's had a rushing touchdown 3 consecutive weeks. So, right now, he's a top 5 quarterback in fantasy, with some of the other guys just not performing. Even over some of those running quarterbacks, like a Kyler Murray, right? Kyler Murray's just not doing enough in the passing game. So, and Burrow's running a little bit. He's got at least 20 yards rushing in 4 of the 7 games this year. And again, those 3 rushing touchdowns. So giving a little something on the ground. And with these weapons, he should be able to put up big numbers. It's 2 straight weeks now over 300 yards, or at least 300 yards passing.
Speaking of the Bengals, by the way, I saw these stats come out on Underdog on Twitter before here, and they're from PFF actually too. That I'm seeing, apparently there's a list of most carries inside the 5. Joe Mixon, the leader, with 12 carries inside the 5. Jamar Chase, leading red zone target getter, with 24 this year. So it's funny with Joe Mixon, because he's getting the opportunities here, but you wouldn't think that was the case unless you watched every second of every single Bengal game. But just very interesting, Roan, how Joe Mixon leads all these backs with most carries inside the 5.
Yeah, a lot of opportunities. Again, though, the offensive line hasn't been run blocking well. And, to me, if something's not working, especially when you have all that talent at wide receiver and a quarterback like Burrow, just pass a little bit more. And they finally did it over the last couple of weeks, because that game against Miami was infuriating. That Thursday night game, they kept running and running, and Mixon was getting 2.5 yards. And it's like, okay, when you guys drop back to pass, you're picking up large chunks. Keep doing it. You don't need to stick with the run. Stick with what's working.
Essen saying in the comments he's playing against Walker and Chase this week. Good luck to you, Essen, and Gabe Davis too. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time, but
right.
Look, that's the thing, is Chase has become one of the more reliable receivers in a given week. Walker looks like he's relying. I mean, Gabe Davis doesn't get a huge target share. He's relying on touchdowns. I mean, he still ranks as a top 20 wide receiver because that offense is so prolific. But you could see a game where Davis just does 3 for 50. I wouldn't be surprised at that.
Listen, we just saw Mark Andrews, one of the 2 reliable tight ends, have more rushing yards than receiving yards this past week, Roan.
Yeah, I wonder if the injury was a factor, because he's been dealing with this knee issue. So that might have played a part.
Yep. Somebody else that's trending up as well, and I wanted to talk to you about, normally I leave one for everybody to look at, but today you get the entire picture of the stock watch. What do you think when I put Raheem Mostert in the stock watch? Not as much for what he's doing now, but if you look at his matchups upcoming, he's got some very favorable matchups against some very piss-poor rush defenses. And I'm just thinking now, when it comes to snap share, leaving Chase Edmonds in the dust at this point, and someone that we can rely on here, but even moving forward, matchups are very good for Mostert.
Yeah, no, he's looked really good. And whenever he's been healthy, he's run very well. I thought he looked great against Pittsburgh. He's averaging 4.5 yards per carry and starting to get a little bit more involved in a pass game. I mean, 4 receptions for 30 yards this past week. If that's going to continue, that's a big deal. And Chase Edmonds just hasn't looked good. He's dropped passes. I don't know why they ran a play with him on 4th down. So, yeah, I mean, Mostert, it's all about, can he stay healthy? That's always been the biggest question mark with him. We've always seen him be very efficient when he is on the field. And so far, he's stayed healthy. But, yeah, I mean, he's in that RB2 area right now.
I mean, look at who he has upcoming. Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland, and then they have Houston, a dream matchup right after that. We're going to be riding Mostert. He's going to be up in your rankings.
He's already up there this week. I think he's like right around 17 or 18 at running back right now.
Wow, it's all. I mean, if he performs how he should perform, only going to go up there, and not even taking what he's done in the passing attack. Not even taking that into account. It's funny, man. We're at this point now when it comes to reliable options. Raheem Mostert, at least for the next few weeks, one of the safer, or what should be safe, running backs.
For now, we said the same thing about Breece Hall, and now look what happened.
Yeah, we did say that. Man, don't remind me. It's unbelievable, man. For the Jets, that's what happened. They were so underdogs. They were huge underdogs in that Super Bowl back in 1969. They used all of whatever juju that they had to win that one, pull the upset there after Namath made the call. And then after that, the football gods are like, okay, that's all you get. Now you can't have nice things anymore. We'll give you an occasional playoff run to entertain you, but that'll come maybe once every decade and a half. So not fun being a Jets fan, just like it's not fun having Tom Brady in fantasy, Roan. And I don't like to be this guy. I don't like to be the guy that's like, well, all the drama that he's currently dealing with off the field impacting is on the field. Who are we? What are we, psychologists now, Roan? It's hard for me. I mean, look, the results aren't happening. The O-line protection he's missing, huge for this guy. He's not throwing multiple touchdown passes outside of 1 week this season. But at the same time, man, who are we to play the role of psychologist and thinking that, hey, what's going on off the field is directly impacting him on the field?
I'm sure it does, though. I mean, I've never been through a divorce. I can imagine, though, that it's probably taking a toll on him at this point. And remember, he missed time in training camp. He was at a wedding on a Friday night for Kraft. So, and maybe he did want to retire and then decided, I want to come back. Maybe his heart's not in it. There's so many things. So you can speculate all you want. I think it's a combination of factors. The offensive line, maybe Bowles coaching. We've seen that hasn't worked out. Obviously, some injuries, but man, look at these pass attempts, man. 49, 40, 52, 52. I mean, the volume is there, and he still can't produce. So it's frustrating. I mean, it's a bad quarterback. I think I have him at QB 12 this week. I actually have Daniel Jones over him.
Wow.
Think about that. Yeah, I would start Daniel Jones over him this week.
I was going to ask you about that too. I mean, good streaming option there. He's out there for those.
He might become maybe more than streaming at this point. I know he likes weapons, but if he's going to run, and they're finding a way to be productive. So, and look, maybe Brady does have a 4-touchdown game one of these weeks, but what have we seen? Again, coming off a loss in Pittsburgh, you go into Carolina, a team changed their coach, traded Robbie Anderson, traded McCaffrey, perfect setup. And that's what you do. No touchdowns. Yes, I know Evans dropped a long touchdown, but even if he did catch it, it still was a mediocre day.
Right. Yeah, 3 points. 3 points. You want to know what the funny thing about that is? And this brings us to the next player that's trending down. You just saw Tampa Bay put up 3 points against Carolina. You know who has them next? Atlanta. Barely throwing the ball against Carolina now. Drake London. I don't know if we have the luxury not to start him unless we have a healthy team and receiver depth. But if Mariota's not, we just talked about this with Andrew Cooper. If Mariota's not going to throw, then what ceiling does Drake London have?
I mean, obviously, it's extremely low. It was rock bottom this past week with 1 catch for 9 yards on 1 target. At least some of the other games, he had 6 to 7 targets usually. But yeah, I mean, it's been pretty brutal at this point. I mean, he hasn't had more than 7 points in a PPR format since week 3. So, right. I mean, I have him ranked in the 30s, which is wide receiver 3, because you do see once you get to that range, all of those receivers have issues. So you're like, well, he is the number 1 in his offense, even though they don't pass a lot. So that's what you're kind of looking at. But once you get to a certain point, you really can make a case for not starting any of those receivers, but someone's got to fill that spot.
Yeah, Olamide Zaccheaus is catching up when it comes to target share too, which is also not what you want to see. But I'll say this, I said this yesterday and I'll say it again because it'll hit harder hearing it again. And everybody forgets anyway what they said the day before. He had 13 receptions after 2 weeks. He's had 13 receptions in the 5 games since. That's what we're looking at with this guy. That's how much it sucks when it comes to this Falcons offense. It's just so brutal. It's so frustrating, trending down. Roan, of the 3 that are trending down here, which one do you think has the most bounce back potential here? Jackson, obviously.
Lamar Jackson, yeah.
Yep. So that is what we're looking at when it comes to the stock watch. Essen's asking us about how we feel about Wan'Dale Robinson's performance and then wants us to stud him against essentially Hunt, Renfro, Jerry Jeudy as well. What do you think of Wan'Dale moving forward?
I mean, I like him. I've held him on rosters all season long. Got to make sure that he's okay. He did leave the game. We won't get an injury report till tomorrow. I'm assuming he's okay. He did come back, but yeah, man, I like him. He played more this past week. Had 6 for 50 on 8 targets, scored a touchdown the week before. I mean, we know that they really don't have anyone in this offense to pass the ball to. We've seen Slayton be inconsistent. Bellinger's going to be out. So yeah, I like Robinson, and I have him in a couple leagues, and I'll be playing him.
Yes. By the way, I'm already seeing here, we're going to talk a little NBA, but for those that are wondering, we spent all that time, and I got to give some props to Jay Allen too. He's kind of like our update anchor, essentially our update chatter here. Kawhi Leonard is now not going to play tonight after all that, Roan.
Mm-hmm.
They already don't have Paul George. Kawhi Leonard is now, we're seeing now because of injury management, load management. They must feel that even if SGA does play, that they'll still be able to handle business against OKC. But again, dude, this is why you don't draft Kawhi Leonard on your fantasy basketball teams. This is why. You talked about it with the Warriors. They're teams that just don't care about the regular season as much. The Clippers are one of them.
Yeah, it's crazy. The season just began.
He's ready for 2 games now. 2 freaking games.
Yeah, well, I didn't draft him. I don't care. I don't need to play as props. Interested to see where that line has moved to. I mean, that's the one game that I'm just like, yeah, I'm not betting anything in this game. That was when I was going over games today. I'm like, you know what? I am not messing with this. Now, if Gilgeous-Alexander is in and they put his props up, I'll play them. The Clippers are still favored by 6. Let's see. Player props. They only have.
I have not seen anything on SGA.
Yeah, nothing yet. They have Norman Powell 17.5, Reggie Jackson 13.5, Zubac 12.5, Dort 16.5. Those are the only player props up for points right now. So yeah, they took a lot of it down because who knows who's playing.
Yeah, we're gonna talk a little.
No one's paying attention to that game anyway. You got Warriors, Suns, Mavs, Pelicans. Even though the Pelicans are missing several people, and Pistons, Wizards. You got some players to watch there. So no one cares about Clippers Thunder tonight.
I care about one player in that game right now. One player. I'm going to tell you who that is because this is the playbook with Fensty and Ronis. What do? We give plays that we like, plays that we don't like. Let's talk a little bit more about this NBA slate here on BSN.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network. Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
There was a tweet about the refs that had me kind of cracking up the other day because somebody was like, we have the technology to track the ball down to a centimeter and figure out, what speed these guys are running on the field. Yet somehow we still mark the ball by
That's my favorite.
a 60-year-old dude eyeballing it, and then we run over with literal chains and measure it. It's like, you think we can probably get that figured out.
The least precise way to measure something, and then immediately following that up with a super precise way of measuring something.
Yeah, it's like we have
like if you're a millimeter short of that chain that they bring out there, that they ran out it as best they could in a straight line. But if you first they just go here, and then they grab the chains and they run in the straightest line possible. But then if you are 1 millimeter short with that football, doesn't count. Sorry. Couldn't have been human error. You're just short.
That's exactly. And, they bring out the index card or whatever. Meanwhile, they have satellites in space tracking how fast Brandon Ayuk ran on an end around. But we can't,
and I can see that number live while he's doing it. Like I can see every player's speed on the screen live.
I love that. It's and not to mention that dude's trying to make the spot and the player always tosses the ball right into his face. Right? He's coming over to spot it, and it's every other time the player just here you go. Here's another thing to juggle.
On call with Dr. Roto.
If the Giants don't win another game this year, A, I'll be shocked. But B, I'll still think that they're better than they were with Joe Judge. Much better. Because I think Brian Dable's got a lot out of this team already. And I'm seeing what this team could be. See, that's the problem with owners and general managers. I see Nathaniel Hackett and I see a guy who can't get it done. I see Matt Rule and see a guy who never should have been hired. Disaster right away. Sometimes a good coordinator in the NFL is better. I don't even say sometimes. Most of the time, a good coordinator in the NFL is better than a college coach because the NFL coordinators, they know the system. They've been there. They've played. They've been around it. For the life of me, I don't know why Eric Bieniemy hasn't gotten a job yet. Deuce Staley is going to get a job. Somebody's going to hire that dude. When you've been around the game, you understand it. These college guys come, they don't know it.
Join the show with one touch of a button. It's Sports Talk 3.0 on Bettor Sports Network.
Corralled just inside the half-court line. Behind the screen, it doesn't matter! Come on. Now Luka in the backcourt. Driving on David Roddy and scoring. Luka got rowdy against Roddy.
Talk about your picks, your fantasy teams, and your sports collectibles on Bettor Sports Network.
Justin Fetzterman, Adam Ronis back with you. Let's talk a little bit more about tonight's short slate NBA slate that we've got here. A monster one upcoming tomorrow. We're actually going to be joined by Fantasy Alarm's James Grande on tomorrow's show to hash it all out there. And Ron, when you're looking at this slate here, some of the heavy hitters out, like we've mentioned, Paul George is going to be out, Kawhi Leonard, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson is going to be out too. We're still waiting on whether or not Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to play. I did the starting 5 video for tonight's DFS action on fantasyalarm.com. And when it came down to the guard situation, Ron, even knowing that there was a chance that Zion was not going to play, we already knew Ingram was out. Herb Jones also going to be out for the Pelicans. I still was very afraid, even though the usage will be totally his, I was still very afraid to even go after even put in a CJ McCollum into the starting 5, because we can't forget about what we saw from Luka Doncic last year, one of the best defensive point guards here. He's going to be all over him, and that's why I stayed away and went with the obvious pay up there to start the starting 5 and thinking Luka's going to be all over the place as he has been.
Yeah, I still think McCollum is a solid play because where are they going for offense tonight?
I get that, but if he's being suffocated by Luka tonight, then I mean, why wouldn't the Mavs sacrifice leaving someone else open and just double him for the most part? Luka already is a tough defensive assignment enough. But if I'm thinking from a matchup standpoint, let somebody else beat you and just double McCollum the whole time. He's going to be handling the rock a good amount anyway.
I don't think it's that big of a deal. Someone's got to score for them.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. When it comes down to others that were in the starting 5 video, Roan, let's talk about someone that's been coming off the bench. And I know it's a little bit risky, but Christian Wood, he's been getting it done, though, in the 25 minutes he's been given. I'm wondering if that's going to start to rise a bit. I don't know how much you've watched this team. We've only had a couple of games for Dallas, but JaVale McGee is just a tree. He doesn't move. He's not the same guy who was just running down the court, beating everyone. Time's starting to catch up to him. He's just a tree. Now, at this point, what do you think long-term here? Because you can have your little tree just standing there putting shade in the lane on everyone for about 10 minutes or so, 12 minutes, and then have Christian Wood leading the reserves. Or you could just start Christian Wood and be a little bit more top-heavy. I'm really wondering, A, whether or not Wood's minutes are going to start to rise, and B, whether or not the Mavs are going to make the decision to put him in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I guess they kind of like what he brings to the second unit. And, you know, the 24 minutes of game 1, they had the big lead and blew it against Phoenix. The last game, they won easily by 41. So you figured that he wasn't going to play much. But I played his points and rebound prop tonight. I got it at over 24.5 at -110 on DK. And he's obliterated this. I mean, he's gone over that number in points in the first 2 games, 25 and 25. He has 25 and 12, 25 and 8. So I think the game could stay competitive. We know Pelicans are shorthanded, but the line is 6. So I'm playing Christian Wood over 24.5 points rebounds tonight.
Yeah, you could also remember as well, and I know it's still early and pace is being developed still as we're only a few games into the season, but the Mavs, from watching them, already look like, and I said this in the video too, they already look like they're going to be one of the slowest moving teams once again. And why shouldn't they be? They've got the guy who I think is going to win MVP and should win it. And I don't want to say should have won it last year, but definitely in contention because of the two-way play that he provided us last year. Just excellent. I cannot be a bigger fan of Luka Doncic, but because of how great Luka is and how successful he is on the ball, that's going to be a lot of slow-paced half-court possessions that they're going to have rather than being more run and gun. So with that, I'm thinking that Luka for the season, this is just what we're gonna see. So against a team like New Orleans, who's a little bit quicker, the pace is going to help, especially with getting Wood more shot opportunities. And that's something that we're going to continue to watch out for when it comes to Christian Wood. So I'm with you on that. Other props that I saw regarding Christian Wood that I was eyeing before as well. I mean, you had him with the PR. I also had him with the over and the points in general, the over 16.5. I like that. So that's one big man. Another big man, Roan, I want to try to sell you on here. What do you think about the over 27.5 PR for Kristaps Porzingis going up against Detroit, who, while they did add a little bit of size in Duren in the offseason, who they bring it off the bench, it's still the same thing. And Duren's lack of experience, plus how slow-moving Isaiah Stewart is, Porzingis is a matchup nightmare. And I don't like to go back to last year a lot because I get new roster compositions and everything. But in March, against this front court, Porzingis dropped 30 and 10 on them. And I just think that he's a matchup nightmare. And Detroit's slow, and I'm thinking he's going to take advantage. Not only do I like the over 27 PR, but I also like the over 8.5 rebounds that I saw on DraftKings earlier.
I don't really want to touch his props right now. I mean, he hasn't gone over that. He did it once, and that was in overtime against Cleveland. He had a good matchup against Indiana to start the season, and he didn't go over. He had 15 and 10, 5 of 14 from the field. So I just don't trust him. If I'm going to look at any props on Washington, it's Bradley Beal.
Right. And for him, it's obviously just you're looking at any kind of scoring prop. That's it. It's kind of like the Devin Booker treatment as well, that you're looking at the points at this point, and when he's hot, he's hot. And that's why, for instance, so you'd rather go with the Bradley Beal prop tonight or just in general?
Tonight. I didn't bet it, but I'm kind of eyeing his points and assists prop. You know, he has at least 5 assists in all games this year. His assists have been 6, 8, 5. His points have been 23, 19, and 27. He hasn't taken as many shots. I mean, he talked about how he could still drop 40 or 50, but his shots from the field, 17, 14, and 16. So we've yet to see that game where he takes 20 from the field. So I was debating the Beal points and assists, but I have not done it yet.
I see also on your list as well, you have a very interesting prop that we should go over. You have Andrew Wiggins tonight, over 16.5 points here. Tough matchup for Andrew Wiggins, going up against one of the best perimeter defenders of the last 5 years or so, and Mikal Bridges, but still you're thinking that it's going to go over still that 16.5 mark.
Yeah, I mean, he's played a big role once again. We saw last year how great he was. He's gone over this in every game. He's had 20, 23, 24. Klay Thompson's still a little limited, so it's opened up the offense. And they've been putting up points, man. 123, 123, and 130. Now, it was Lakers, Sacramento, and Denver, but, I think this should be a real competitive game tonight. I think it'll stay close. So, yeah, I mean, Wiggins has just been balling out. So I think he'll continue to do so. So I also have that there's a risk-free same-game parlay on FanDuel Sportsbook tonight involving the TNT game. So I think I'll use it on the Suns Warriors instead of Mavs Pelicans.
Yeah, probably smart right there. Well, here's a prop right there for the Suns that I like. I like Devin Booker over 26.5 points. I know it's a little bit of a high number, but he's gone over it in every game. He's shooting lights out right now. He's taken at least 20 shots per game. And in a game that should be very fast-paced, I'm still thinking that he has a shot to go over the 26.5. And until I see him cool off like that, I'm going to trust the prop and the pace.
Yeah, this should be a good game for sure. So I'm going to put Booker in there. I think I'm going to need Booker to score 20+. I mean,
he should, man. I don't see why he shouldn't.
Yeah, Curry should have a big game. I mean, look, the line's 1.5, totals 226.5. So I expect this to be a good game. This looks to be the best game on the slate today. So I'm kind of glad it's late. Can do some work, get some dinner, and then watch this game tonight.
Potential Western Conference final between these two teams. No, you don't think so?
No.
You don't think Phoenix is going to make it?
I think the Suns are taking a step back, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Do you like DeAndre Ayton? I don't know, man. There are games where I like him, and I'm not talking from a fantasy standpoint. I'm just talking from an NBA standpoint. There are games where he's
too inconsistent, man. I mean, didn't he crush Golden State last year? Didn't he have really good games against them?
Well, I feel like everyone did because of their lack of big men that they had. Kevon Looney's a slow-moving stump, and Draymond Green's undersized, and that's who they were working with last year.
Oh, yeah, man. March 30th, 16 boards, and damn, I can't get this. 16 boards and 16 points. 16-16 was one of the games against Golden State. Then he had another where he had 18 and 7, but was 8 of 10 from the field. He had another where he had 23.6 boards, and then another where he had 24 and 11. So, yeah, he's just very inconsistent.
Yeah, but he lines, and the problem is he lines up in different places. And it's kind of like Karl Anthony Towns. Sometimes he lines up at the elbow, sometimes he posts up. If you have a big, they don't have that kind of size that Minnesota has. He should be posting up every single time in that middle, and he just doesn't. He looks for the ball at the elbow or sets the screen, doesn't roll to the basket. And it makes me wonder whether or not he is going to be someone that's going to be a key center moving forward when it comes to the NBA, when we're talking about centers of the future. It's just someone that I haven't been able to fully get behind. And I know last year was filled with the dramatics of what's going to happen with Ayton. They can't extend him or anything. He doesn't want the money. And then all of a sudden, boom, they extend him just like that. So it's very interesting to see what to make of this guy. But Ron, normally I stay away from Ayton props automatically. I actually stay away from Ayton in fantasy too, man. I just, from watching him, you just never know which Ayton is it going to be. Is it going to be the wing shooting Ayton, or is it going to be the ground and pound guy in the middle? You're right. It's just too inconsistent game by game with him.
Yeah, there were times last year I wrote up his prop and played him, but I have yet to this season, and I don't think I'm going to even do anything with him in my same game parlay as I try and get that one to come through. I mean, because just he's had some foul trouble too in every game. 5 fouls against the Clippers, 5 against Portland. Just inconsistent, man. I mean, and look at even the shots from the field: 11, 22, and 11. So, yeah. I mean, against Portland, 22 shots. That was an overtime game. So, just you don't know what you're getting from him on a given night.
No, you don't. By the way, something else, a good leg to parlay if you are parlaying, and I'm wondering if it went up to 5.5, but Saddiq Bey over 4.5 rebounds, doing a very good job of not only scoring, but rebounding too. And here's the other thing about Saddiq Bey, and last game proved it, that even if he's shooting poorly, the Pistons don't have many defenders. This guy's your best defender. He's safe. He's going to stay in the game. He's actually in the starting 5 too at small forward as my value play there. Roney's the guy's been scoring. He's hit the 20s a couple of times. And when he's not shot well, he's still been able to get low mid-30s minutes. And I'm thinking because they need his defense, that as long as he's still playing that aggressive style of defense that we've seen, that has posted steals, boards, this guy's going to be, I don't want to say minutes proof, but they don't have many others to turn to for reliable defense in Detroit.
Yeah, my prop in Detroit tonight is Jaden Ivey over 23.5 points, rebounds, assists, minus 132 on FanDuel. So that was
good, man. He's fun.
Yeah, and I drafted him too in the Sirius XM Host League. So I didn't have him in the lineup week 1. It was weekly. That sucked because he's averaging 17.7 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. So he's gone over this in every game: 26, 28, and 32. Orlando, Knicks, and Indiana. So it's been taking 12, 13 shots from the field. So I'll playing it again. I got a 23.5. It might have went up to 240, 24.5 on some sites, I think, because I was talking to someone earlier on Underdog. I didn't realize this because I don't play much on there. My goodness, man, their odds move. I was on the phone with someone and they're like, oh, it just changed, like several. I was like, damn, man, what the hell? So obviously we know there's a lot of movement in the player prop market throughout the day. His points are 14.5 on BetMGM at minus 130, 15.5 on DraftKings at plus 100. Let's see the PRAs if they moved at all, because again, I bet this earlier today. Points, rebounds, assists. It is 23.5 on some books. It's still minus 132 on FanDuel, minus 135 on DK, minus 140 on BetMGM. So Caesars minus 161. So it's still sitting there at 23.5. So he's been playing well, anywhere. He's played 29, 32, 34 minutes. So I'm going to keep playing it. Full disclosure, the props I gave out yesterday, 2 and 2. John Morant hit easily. What was the other one that hit easily? I can't remember.
Wasn't memorable enough for you to remember.
Well, so Tyrese Halliburton, man, I gave out over 19.5. And I think during our show, I went back and it was 18.5. He scored 19, and I've been playing his points and assist prop, which cashed the last 2 times for me. Last night, it was 28.5. If I would have played that, I would have cashed. He had 19 and 10. Right. And so I lost on the hook there. And then I had Banchero over 25.5 points, rebounds.
he had 25 when I should have just played the points. They were 17.5, and he went over that. So frustrating. But, when you lose by the hook, it sucks. It sucks.
I was expecting to get crap from you last night because I gave the Maturin over 16.5 points, and he couldn't hit a shot to save his life. Then he started hitting shots, and I just hit the over on that. I was expecting to hear from you, dude, Maturin and everything like that, because he was like 0 for 5.
I didn't play it. I always worry about guys coming off the bench.
Well, I thought you were going to give me crap because I suggested it on the show yesterday. He ended up going over, but it wasn't easy.
What was the prop what was the other prop I ate yesterday? Oh, no. Oh, Devin Vassell over 16.5 points. He went over. Now he's doubtful for tomorrow with knee soreness. I think because the Spurs are like, wait, we're 3-1, 3-0 on the road. This is not supposed to happen. We got to start sitting guys and losing games.
Wembanyama, we got to get one. But here's the thing: they don't get it, Ron. The lottery system.
I know,
now,
but still, but would you rather win games and not do anything, or put yourself in the highest percentage?
I don't know, man. Here's the problem.
Why, if the Spurs are going nowhere this year, right? Who cares about the playing game?
I get that, but at the same time, it's like it's not like tanking in the NFL.
I understand that, but I also get why they do it. You want to increase your percentage, even though it's not as high as the other sports, and it's not guaranteed.
Stupid. You're right, but it's so stupid because think about it. The Spurs fans, at this point, who can they cling on to? Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell. That's it. That's all they have. And now that they think they have the luxury of sitting players when people are paying probably ridiculous.
Well, I mean, again, he might really be hurt. I don't know. I'm speculating. He could be hurt. I'm just saying that. And the other, remember I mentioned Jalen Green, his points and threes, and I didn't play it. His threes were over 3.5 threes at plus 135, and he hit 4 threes, man. I should have just did it against
You're
the Jazz.
You're going to play it the next 2 times now when it's going to miss.
No. Well, tomorrow's tricky because they got the Jazz in a good spot, and I'm glad I backed off the Markkanen props because I was worried. Markkanen played 39 minutes in consecutive games, including overtime, and it was a back-to-back. So that was a good spot for Houston, and they won. Now it's the same matchup again tomorrow in Utah. Was the game in Houston yesterday? Yeah, right? Yeah. So now they're in Utah tomorrow. Much better spot for Utah at home. I think they'll win that game. But I don't know. I got to figure it out. I might go back to it. If they're going to give me plus money, I might go back to it.
Roan, I'm going to give you about 2 or 3 minutes here because we got the news. SGA not only playing, no minutes.
Give me his props, baby. Put him up.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give Adam Ronis enough time to be able to look at all the books right here.
If they even put him up, though, that's the problem. We might not even get that.
That's why. See, isn't it good you're working with me right here? Radio genius. This is why we're going to talk about the props. We're going to give the books a few minutes to see if anything comes up. Hang on, Roan. Hang on there. Get ready for the props here. This is the playbook with Fency and Ronis, powered by FantasyAlarm.com on BSN.
Stay tuned for sports. Talk about your picks, your fantasy teams, and your sports collectibles on Bettor Sports Network. Nando and Friends, presented by Mayo Media on Bettor Sports Network.
Matt Ryan was the most added quarterback in CBS Sports League this week.
I don't know why.
That's weird. Like Matt Ryan against Tennessee, that's kind of like a strange. Everybody add him, benched, done, injured. But they said Frank Reich's like, yo, it's going to be Sam Erlinger either way. Like Ryan's benched.
And normally I would like to come on here and say, hey, Frank Reich, why don't you look in the mirror and look at your performance?
Yeah.
Guess what? Matt Ryan is not playing well. Matt Ryan should not be a starting quarterback in the NFL right now. See, here's the thing, right? When these old quarterbacks go to Indianapolis, they're sold on, we got this great offensive line. No, you have a great offensive lineman in Nelson.
Right, Quentin Nelson.
The rest of those dudes stink. And now you put somebody my age back there, and you look at Matt Ryan, and all he's doing is watching the pass rush, trying not to get hit, and then throwing the football to wherever he can.
Yeah.
He leads the league in interceptions with 9. So Reich is probably thinking if we can stop turning the ball over, maybe we can have something here. Now, the kid Ehlinger, he's been a Heisman candidate. He's been a guy that's been a blue chip quarterback. So now they want to give him a shot to see if he could be the guy, or do they need to go draft a quarterback? So I think it's the right move to bench Matt Ryan at this point. Matt Ryan is washed up. Matt Ryan's been washed up for a couple years now.
Yeah.
And you keep singing to your fan base, oh, this veteran quarterback going to come in and save us. We almost was fooled again this year. There's a lot going on in Indianapolis. And O-line is problematic. That I don't think they're schemed well with the head coach. Matt Ryan throwing interceptions. The defense can't stop the run. They're on the field a lot and they don't go nowhere. They have these big, long drives and they miss a field goal. It's just a bad brand of football. It's time to bring in the kid.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network.
Betsy and Ronis back with you here on the Playbook on Bettor Sports Network. Want to remind you here, we're giving away more cool prizes, and you could be a winner here on BSN. Join Bettor Sports Live up next with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla. 7 p.m. Eastern, the show starts, but at 8 p.m. Eastern is your chance to win a signed Trevon Diggs Dallas Cowboys jersey. Then, not only that, wait, there's more. Then you could join Moose and Keith tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, for your chance to win a Dante Culpepper signed Vikings jersey. To be eligible, you need to download the free Bettor Sports Network app, register for free, and be listening live tonight at 8 Eastern and tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific, courtesy of GetInTheGame.com and Bettor Sports Network. No purchase necessary, must be 18 or over. Winners within the last 90 days are not eligible. So Rick and Lisa up next, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern, your chance to win that jersey. All right, Roan, we got some props up. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he is going to be active. No Josh Giddey for Oklahoma City. And on the other side, we don't have Paul George or Kawhi Leonard, of course, as well here, man. You seeing anything good on the SGA front?
Oh, yeah. Just let me wait for it to go through. Yep, just place the bet. Over 32.5 points and assists for Gilgeous-Alexander.
Nice right there. So we'll have to see with what happens. They're going to need guys like Poku to come through. Mike Muscala, who I'm being asked about, by the way. It's a lot of in the world we live in now being asked about Mike Muscala. But with Chet Holmgren sidelined, the second overall pick for the year, the Thunder are going to have to pick through the rest of their team in order to make do at center. And they've got the usual guys that are still involved here in Jeremiah Robinson, Earl, and Muscala. That's really what they're looking at, Roman.
And I also did an 8-leg same-game parlay on the
Wow.
Suns Warriors. It's risk-free. FanDuel Sportsbook, it's $10 minimum. Well, $10 they'll give it back. But listen to this, plus 422. Booker to score 20 or more.
Yes.
Curry to score 25 or more.
Okay.
Curry 3 threes or more. Jordan Poole 1 3 or more. Wiggins 1 3 or more. Clay 2 threes or more. Paul 8 assists or more. And Wiggins over 13.5 points. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think which leg stands out as the leg that could burn you. Maybe the Paul assists, maybe.
At 8 or more?
I'm thinking if there's any leg that doesn't, I mean, threes are always, for me, but it's Curry.
It's the Warriors, though, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's Curry,
Chris Paul's assists, though, have been 11, 12, and 9.
It should work. It
should.
work.
I mean,
yeah.
Again, it's a risk-free bet.
Right. If
it loses, you get your $10 back in credit.
You need just 1 3 from Klay Thompson, right?
2
threes. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting here. I mean, what do you think? I mean, Kyle and Ray were asking me about this before when I joined them earlier today for lunch money. What do you think about the minutes cap that we're seeing Thompson and Green get overall? Do you think that that's how it's going to be for most of the year? Because I told
I think they said it was conditioning for those guys early on. They're a little bit behind. But, I mean, Clay's played 20, 24, 27, so it's gone up. I could see him playing 28, 29 tonight, and he's hit 2, 4, and 2. When he's in the game, he's going to take threes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, could he not hit? Sure. But, I mean, Clay's usually good for – again, I'm only asking for 2 threes. Maybe –
that's all the guy does these days.
Maybe I should have put 1, but whatever.
Yeah, look, man, that's why I asked you here, because I think that they're going to be seeing full minutes when it comes to their full minutes and workload consistently. It's one thing when you see it one game. It's quite another consistently. by the time December hits, first week of December, I think all that conditioning restriction will be over with them.
I do think, though, the Warriors are going to be very careful with their veterans as we get deeper into the season. And they have a lot of young guys now that they feel good about. So you will see Curry and all these guys sitting some games, especially back-to-backs, because I think for them, they're like, all right, we just want to be good for the playoffs. So that's why I was a little worried about Curry in season-long fantasy drafts. I definitely feel that they're going to be very cautious with their veterans as the season goes on.
Yeah, we'll have to see about that. They are the team that I thought was going to win the championship once again this year. We'll have to see what happens. The Clippers, again, I want to see them to believe them. I want to see them all healthy. I want to see them playing games together consistently, not one game this guy sits, one game that guy sits, before I can put any trust into them. And it's funny because when you're asked about their depth, I'm being asked still, Ron, especially when you've got forwards out, about guys like Nick Batum. Can you believe Nick Batum are still out there?
Yep, he will never go away.
No, he'll never, ever, with those lean-in threes that you used to see players shoot from a game, NBA hang time, if you had that on Nintendo 64 back in the day. Baseline leader. That is exactly what Nick Batum does. Let's spend a few minutes, Rome, because a lot of us are going to be making waiver claims tonight, and we've been going over some throughout there. We have the piece up at fantasyalarm.com, but also, as always, putting a list together of players that we could go over here. When it comes down to running back, I mean, do you think that guys like Gus Edwards, the Panthers backfield, and Pacheco, do you think that they're still on waivers, or do you think that outside of maybe 10-team leagues, these guys should be grabbed and stashed?
I mean, I doubt they're available. Maybe Edwards is there. People forgot that he was coming back. There was no IR spots. I got to believe Foreman and Hubbard were added last week once the news broke. So I think
Thursday night this news broke.
Yeah, so I would think they're rostered heavily.
Yeah, outside of that, I mean, are there any other running backs you would suggest picking up? Like, I hate to bring this guy up because I just can't stand the Falcons, but we'll look for any opportunity. Someone like an Algier could be out there. Maybe
this
even
might be his last week, though. Patterson will be back.
Latavius Murray is still out there. They can't quit Melvin Gordon. I mean, what do you think about adding him potentially for stash?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably rostered in a lot of leagues, but if he's out there, sure.
Yeah, how about this? Billy Hayes, Kieran Williams, someone that we can look to pick up and stash. Good job, Billy Hayes.
Yeah, Kyra Williams has actually been picked up in a lot of leagues over the last week or two. So, but yeah, there's the possibility that he does get to play a bigger role in this offense because McVay did talk him up before the year.
Eston's asking us, and I know it's early for lineup questions, but it is a Thursday night player. Is Gus Edwards a good flex here? I mean,
it all depends on your options, but yeah, I mean that I do have a little concern on the short week. I mean, he did look pretty good. I haven't seen anything about him being limited, but that is something to keep in mind.
Yeah, just coming back too from being out a hell of a long time. So wow, so he has Gus Edwards and he has Kareem Hunt at this point here. Dang, looking at that, man, Kareem Hunt, dude. I mean, what at this point, what can we rely on with him versus Nick Chubb for the remainder of the year? You're thinking that the Browns.
You could see Hunt traded. I think that's what you have to hope for. There's been a lot of talk about that. So you'll hope that Kareem Hunt gets traded to a spot where he becomes the lead back.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Wide receivers we can look to pick up. Wan'Dale Robinson was on the list there, but he's a little bit banged up. Other wide receivers that I put on the list.
How is Robinson available in leagues? What percentage did you see that?
I just took a gamble and guessed there, and I went through our articles that we have up on the site too. That was suggested by Dan Malin too. So, I mean, at least in 12-teamers, he's not on waivers in any of my leagues. I picked him up actually late last week in one league.
I mean,
he's still out there.
I picked him up early in the season, waiting for him because I knew at some point he'd come back. So, but Paris Campbell could be out there. I mean, 23 targets, 17 catches the last 2 weeks. I mean, we'll find out if Ellinger is going to help or hurt. If Elijah Moore was dropped, I'd get him. He should be back this week. Van Jefferson could be back soon. Not a great situation there. Maybe Khalif Raymond in a deeper format. He's had a couple good games, and Reynolds still a little banged up. We know Chark is out. Marquise Goodwin, maybe.
I was about to ask you about him.
Matt Jeff is out. I mean, So he's going to get an opportunity. Again, there's no like in most deeper formats or competitive leagues, there's just not an obvious answer. Like, yeah, get this guy. I would probably go Campbell myself.
Right.
And take the shot. Again, he's played well the last 2 weeks and he's playing a ton of snaps. We'll see what the quarterback change does. That's the only wild card with that.
Bad matchup, but what about Donovan Peoples-Jones?
I think he's more of a guy that you're waiting for Watson to come back. I think he could really be paying dividends when Watson is back.
50 yards receiving in 4 straight games now, being targeted. I mean, targets are a little all over the place still, but yeah, no, good call with you by S&S. And also Billy Hayes saying DeAndre Carter. You got to remember, though, they're on bye. So
yeah, McCall Hardman's on bye, too.
Yes, so you got to be careful with those guys unless you're playing to stash at this point here. Man, this is what we're looking at. Marquise Goodwin, Donovan Peoples-Jones there when it comes to potential waiver wire ads. Roan, when it comes to the tight ends, anybody else that you're looking at? I know Coop was talking about Evan Engram, who could still be out there, but not too many options here. I was going to bring up Johnson to you, and then I kind of thought, we'll have to see with other options from the Saints. But then Coop actually brought him up when we were talking with him before. Any tight ends that you got your eye on?
Yeah, Greg Dulcich could still be out there. Irv Smith might have been dropped coming off a bye. He's got a good matchup against Arizona. Cade Otton, I know Coop mentioned him too, like him. And Harrison Bryant from Cleveland. You know, he'll step in with Njoku out. So he could be a guy that's probably available in a lot of leagues. If you're desperate at tight end and some of the other names we mentioned aren't available.
Yeah. By the way, I hung on and won in the SiriusXM Hosts League. So now I got my second win of the year, but I lost Njoku. So now I'm going to be going for my 4th tight end in this league, Roan. It's gone from Cole Kmet to Logan Thomas to David Njoku. And now it's going to be probably one of these guys that we just talked about.
How much money you have left?
I've got $57. Why? You're going to just buy the entire market?
No, why would I care? I'm going to do what's best for me.
I don't know. Maybe you want me to lose and you want me not to.
Nah, I'm worried about my team, man. I had a bad week because no Diggs and I had someone get hurt too. So yeah, I actually got waxed this week. So I'm 4-3, but I'm right up there in points. So got to get back on track this week.
I think you may have the most, if not second most points in the league.
I think so. Yeah.
You've also, and I was checking this out. You also, I think, have some of the one of the most points against in the league too.
Yeah.
Yes. Which at least you and I are both in the 900s in that category. I was looking at that earlier. So we've had kind of a hard time there. By the way, Billy Hayes playing you in the GST. So you better answer every question that he asks you about his lineup this week, Roman.
Yeah, it's not good, man. He has a really good team. So at this point, I have to get in the playoffs on points. So I'm 3-4.
Oh, not good there. Gonna have more action for you tomorrow. We thank our producers, AB, Adam Bernard, the resource, and the people's board op, Jared Moore. We thank Andrew Cooper and Rick Campbell. Rick Campbell coming up next with Lisa. And don't forget, Trevon Diggs, autographed jersey, 8 p.m. Eastern. See you tomorrow. Playbook closes. Let's win.